One of Final Fantasy's most defining features are the summons that characters can call upon to help aid them. In some games, these summons are solely enemies, while in others, you must fight them to prove your worth. Some of these summons are a direct pull from mythology and religion, while others are inspired by it. But before we take a look, I would like to preface that there were a lot of religions that I was not very familiar with. So I tried my best to interpret what I found online and what I read into this video. So please, if I misinterpreted something or if I missed out on crucial information that I just hadn't come across, please let me know. Let's take a look at some of the Final Fantasy summons. Shiva is one of the most well-known summons in the Final Fantasy universe. She is depicted as a woman with blue or very white skin with the power of ice. Her signature attack is called Diamond Dust and is usually a more friendly summon. Her design has stayed consistent throughout the series, solidifying her as a well-known Final Fantasy summon. Shiva is also one of the very few to appear in almost every main series game. Shiva is actually an important figure in Hinduism that represents both creation and destruction, as well as goodness and benevolence. He is the patron of yogis and Brahmins, and the protector of the Vedas, or the sacred texts. He destroys the universe after every cycle and allows for a new creation. Depending on what one practices, Shiva is a deity, or simply a being who walked through the land. Besides Shiva in Final Fantasy being blue because of her ice powers, it could also be related to how Shiva has a blue throat. There are several theories as to why Shiva is blue. When one's energies are centered in Vishuddhi or Vishuddha, it is said that they have blue auras akin to Shiva and other Hindu deities. Another explanation is that he swallowed poison that was created when, instead of the elixir of life, a poison was brought out when the gods churned the oceans. All of the gods became scared and called upon Shiva to see if he could help. He, being as benevolent as he is, decided he would drink up all the poison so that it wouldn't spread and destroy life on Earth. Parvati, Shiva's wife, restricted the poison to Shiva's throat, and thus causing it to turn blue. It seems that there are different sources and reasons as to why Shiva is blue, or only his aura is blue, or that only his neck is blue, but it seems that Final Fantasy was inspired by any of these reasons. As to why Shiva is a woman in Final Fantasy, that could be because of a number of things. 1. It's creative freedom and only inspiration. And 2. Ardhanarishvara exists. Ardhanarishvara is a combination of Shiva and Parvati and is represented as both female and male, split down the middle. The symbolism of the combination of Shiva and Parvati is quite interesting, but since this video is solely focused on the generality of where Final Fantasy summons come from, I'd implore you to explore some more. From Hinduism, we turn to Norse mythology. Hey, we've been here before. In the Final Fantasy series, Odin is depicted as a demon knight with long horns and is riding a horse that is akin to Sleipnir in many of the games. He sometimes wields a scimitar and other times the spear Gungnir. Gungnir is said to have always hit its target, which is why Odin in Final Fantasy has an insta-death signature attack called Zantetsuken or Z-Sword. Through his helmet, his eyes, or sometimes eye, glow. The demonic depiction seems to take on more of Odin's darker side, if you can even tell the difference, and plays on his obsession with the noble dead. In almost every design, Odin has incredible armor decorated in gold, silver, or black that reflects the nobility of the Norse god. His armor, as well as his horse, is usually a dark color, black, deep green, and sometimes gold, which coincides with, alongside the demonic horns and red eyes, Odin's darker side and obsession with death. Although his golden armor is more akin to the telling of Odin riding into Ragnarok, wearing a golden helmet and a cloak of chainmail while carrying his spear. Odin is referred to as the All-Father, the Master of Ecstasy, and the ruler of the Aesir. He is the war god and god of the dead, but concerns himself more with the chaoticness and raw fury of battle. Odin is also pulled by the desire for knowledge and wisdom. This is seen in his sacrifice of one of his eyes and the hanging off the world tree for 9 days and nights. He is interested in the dead because of their knowledge and wisdom, but most importantly, he wishes to create an army of the best warriors for the battle against Fenrir during Ragnarok, even though he knows he will die regardless. Himself and his Valkyries would scour the battlefields and take half of the fallen to Valhalla, while Freya would take the other half. There are also some references to Odin being able to use necromancy.
I am under the water.
This is probably what also helped solidify the demonic Final Fantasy design. Sleipnir is an 8-legged horse that is a child of Loki, and yep, the horse Svadilfir. Svadilfari. And if you didn't know, Loki was the one to give birth. Sleipnir is said to be one of the best horses, and is usually regarded as being grey, which is how the horse is typically shown in Final Fantasy II.
You are not afraid. I am.
Ifrit's appearance, just as with the other summons, varies slightly, but he's always demonic in how he looks. He has demon-like horns and long claws, and either clawed toes or hooves. In the other games, it appears he has normal feet, but keeps the same demonic horns. Ifrit's signature attack is called Hellfire, sometimes Inferno, and is a fire-based attack. He is often the rival of Shiva. Fire and ice makes sense. Ifrit is actually an epithet, or an adjective or descriptive term accompanying the name of a real or fictitious person, place, or thing, derived from the Quran. Ifrit appears to be a generalization of demons, and is not designated to a specific type. In Islamic scriptures, Ifrit is followed by jinn. The term jinn, angelicalized as genie, is also applied to a wide range of spirits, but the term is typically used as an epithet as well to describe powerful or malicious spirits. Jinns themselves were originally neither good nor bad, but their intentions are what make them such. They are said to be parallel to humans, but cannot be seen by them, and can sometimes possess or influence them. The jinn are also a bit ambiguous, so the coupling with Ifrit is still uncertain. Depending on the region, the Ifrit and jinn differ, as to be expected. In Morocco, the Ifrit are a powerful type of demon that have claw-like hands with flaming eyes or 7 heads. 1001 Nights is a collection of Middle Eastern folktales, and in one, The Porter and the Three Ladies, or The Porter and the Young Girls, the Ifrit are said to be able to change shape, even into animals. In modern Islam, the Ifrit became spirits made out of smoke and fire that inhabit the layers of the 7 earths, or the underworld. The coupling of Ifrit and jinn can be seen in the Final Fantasy series as well. In Final Fantasy IV, Ifrit is actually called jinn. Ifrit's image in the games take on the various descriptions as mentioned earlier. Ifrit has some animal features.
I'm gonna kick your ass.
Like in 9, 7, and 10. And the creators of Final Fantasy seem to pull more from the modern interpretation of the Ifrit being from chthonic spirits. In Final Fantasy XVI, for example, Ifrit's body is essentially made of fire encased in earth and has a smoky aura surrounding him, relating to the smoke and fire of the modern Islamic interpretation. He also is summoned from underground, which is usually associated with the underworld. Among the summons, Ifrit makes the most sense with the ability of being summoned, since they, coupled with the jinn, can possess people. I have to mention that I tried finding as much as I could about the Ifrit.
Congratulations.
But it seems, at least from an outsider's point of view, that little is known about what exactly the Ifrit are in their entirety.
Mine's bigger.
Thank you, Clive, but I meant that figuratively.
Titan, or the Titans, are an elder generation of gods that ruled the heavens before the Olympian gods overthrew them. I actually have a video about the Titans coming out soon. I just need a cool cosplay. One of the most recognizable Titans is Kronos, since he overthrew his father and tried eating all his sons. I'm sure you've seen this painting more than once, probably in some indie horror game about a bad dad. Titan in Final Fantasy has taken on many forms. A large, muscular man to a colossal, muscular rock giant. He is sometimes earth-colored in a range of shades, with some sort of earth type of armor or feature on his body. I believe Titan was inspired by Kronos and the giants and mixed them into a singular Titan, so one giant angry asshole. Titan's signature attack is called Gaia's Wrath, or sometimes as Earth Fury, which deals earth damage. Gaia is the mother of the Titans and the Giants, and is the goddess of Earth. The Giants were sometimes thought to have used rocks as weapons. The Giants are also referred to as the Earthborn, since they are born from Gaia. This is what most likely gave Titan his Earth-inspired look and ability. Kronos was pretty power-hungry, which is why I believe he was also an inspiration for Titan, instead of it being solely the Giants. Titan in Final Fantasy, especially Final Fantasy XVI, is quite menacing and is a major antagonist in the story. Kronos was not only willing to overthrow his father, but he also devoured his children so that he could rule forever. That's pretty metal. Whether the Final Fantasy creators took inspiration from a combination of Kronos and the Giants, or just simply the Giants themselves, Titan is a pretty rad looking summon.
It's Muhammad! The prince is with us!
In Final Fantasy, Bahamut is portrayed as a dragon-like creature that is known to be an incredibly strong summon. His signature attack is called Mega Flare, sometimes changing depending on Bahamut's appearances, and is a concentrated energy beam that ignores defense and evasion, just like the ultra-wealthy. Bahamut has dark scales with a light belly and dark-colored wings, sometimes purple, red, or blue. In some of the later Final Fantasy games, Bahamut is even wearing armor and looks more bipedal than the usual dragon. Bahamut is very interesting. There are two creatures I would like to cover, since, when learning about Bahamut, Behemoth is also mentioned. Some believe that Bahamut and Behemoth were possibly mixed up with each other, and that Bahamut may have been derived linguistically from Behemoth. But there are some obvious differences. First, Behemoth is from the Old Testament, specifically the Book of Job, and is derived from the Hebrew word for beast. Behemoth is a land creature, argued to either be a hippopotamus, an elephant, or even a mythological creature. Alongside the behemoth, God created the Leviathan, who was to rule the seas while the behemoth ruled the land. But we will discuss the Leviathan later. I'm getting a bit off track. Bahamut is the Arabic legendary fish or whale that supports the structure that holds up the world. Bahamut carries a giant bull who carries an angel who is carrying the earth. Sometimes, the bull is carrying a ruby or rock that the angel is standing on. Just like me when I graduated university in 2020 and no one was hiring, Bahamut has a lot of weight on his shoulders.
I went to college!
What's under Bahamut depends on what cosmography you read. Edward William Lane, who references several different interpretations by cosmographers, describes there being water, and under the water, darkness, and under the darkness, mankind fails to know. So if Behemoth is a land animal of some kind, and Bahamut is aquatic, why is Bahamut in Final Fantasy a dragon? Well, you can thank Dungeons & Dragons for that. Ew. Bahamut in Dungeons & Dragons is a god of justice, protection, nobility, and honor, and is depicted as a massive dragon, often with platinum scales. From what I could find, D&D just enjoyed the name, Bahamut, and may have been inspired by Bahamut's D&D antithesis, Tiamat, who is sometimes depicted as a water serpent or dragon. During the Final Fantasy XIV Fan Festival in 2023, it is mentioned that Akitoshi Kawazu, the battle designer for Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy II, was a major D&D fan, so Bahamut as a dragon continues to be portrayed in various media. Since I mentioned Leviathan earlier, let's talk about it now. Leviathan is usually referred to as male, but in some games, Leviathan is a female. Leviathan is depicted as a long, serpent-like creature with various fins, and colossal in size. His trademark attack is called Tidal Wave, also known as Tsunami. Like with everything we've talked about already, the depiction and description of Leviathan differs depending on regions, religions, and personal interpretations. As I mentioned very briefly, Leviathan was created alongside Behemoth and was assigned the sea. In rabbinical literature, God originally produced both a male and a female Leviathan, but worried that they would reproduce, he slew the female Leviathan.
Women.
In apocryphal literature, Behemoth and Leviathan are separated to earth and sea respectively, because the water portion of the world could not hold them together. In this version, Behemoth is male and Leviathan is female. This may contribute to why Final Fantasy refers to Leviathan as both female and male. Rabbi Yohanan described Leviathan as having horns and being 300 miles in length. The Leviathan is talked about in the Old Testament and is sometimes interpreted as the embodiment of chaos. When Leviathan and Behemoth were created, it was known that they were to fight one day and then be slain by God. Their flesh would be used as either an eschatological meal and shelter for the righteous, or in order to create a new world of peace. The slaying of an evil serpent is shown in various cultures, such as the world serpent Jormungandr and the eight-headed dragon Yamata no Orochi. But since Final Fantasy directly pulls from the Hebrew Bible for inspiration, we will leave it at Leviathan. Overall, Final Fantasy's depiction of Leviathan is seemingly quite spot on, from their water abilities to the serpent-like image. Garuda is a bird-like creature, originally depicted as a massive bird, and then the design solidifying as a female humanoid bird that does wind elemental damage. Garuda's design varies quite a bit in comparison to the other summons. Between the bird and the woman bird designs, Garuda's color palette and armor changes based on game. Garuda had even used lightning as her attack. Garuda also has a secondary name, Karura. Garuda is a large divine bird, or bird-like creature, that is often depicted as the mount for the Hindu god Vishnu. Garuda appears in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. In his bird form, he is shown with partially open wings, and in his anthropomorphic form, he is shown as a man with wings, and sometimes a beak or other bird features. He is usually shown to have golden or emerald skin, and in some depictions, he has 4 arms. His wings are so powerful that when he flaps them, he can create hurricane-like winds, and his body can block out the sun. Garuda and the Nagas, or serpents, have a long-lasting enmity. This is due to Garuda's mother, Vinata, becoming a slave to her sister wife, Kadru. Kadru is the mother to 1,000 Naga sons. The Nagas agreed to release Garuda's mother if he could bring them the drink of immortality, Amrita or Soma. Garuda overcame 3 hazards set up by the gods to guard the drink: a ring of flames fanned by high winds, a circular doorway in which a rapidly spinning wheel with spikes on it lay, and 2 fire-spitting serpents at the end. Garuda, after defeating the gods, flew back to the Nagas and gave them the drink. They released his mother, and in some versions, the Nagas were not able to drink the Amrita. Instead, the chasing gods, along with Indra, seized the drink. He became Vishnu's mount through descending the heavens and meeting the god. There are, of course, different tellings of how Garuda became Vishnu's mount. Karura is the Japanese Buddhist version of Garuda, and just as the Hindu version, he is enormous and feeds on serpents. Karura is a fire-breathing bird, and he's mostly seen as a winged man with a human torso and a bird head. Ramu is depicted as an old man with a long, majestic beard. He is garbed in long robes and carries a staff. He's one of the few lightning-wielding summons, and his signature attack is called Judgment Bolt. This attack hits all enemies. Ramu is also known as Indra, as seen in the release of Final Fantasy IV. Without the name Indra, it would be difficult to surmise exactly who Ramu was based off of. One could assume he, through looks alone, was based off of Merlin, and is speculated that his appearance alone is. But Indra is a Hindu god, and one of the most important gods to Indian Vedic traditions. Indra is called the King of Gods and the ruler of the high heavens. He's speculated to be the personification of weather, as he is the power of thunder, lightning, and most importantly, rain. Indra holds the Vajra, or a thunderbolt, and is the slayer of Vritra. Vritra is a serpent or dragon who absorbs or hoards all the water of the world, causing droughts. It is speculated that Vritra is the personification of drought itself. Indra is associated with the elixir of immortality, the Soma or Amrita. He was rewarded with the slaying of Vritra with the drink, and is known to favor it highly. It's speculated that the drink was more alcoholic or fermented, such as ambrosia, but maybe we will never know. I hope it was delicious. Indra's significance began to wane as time went on, and was eventually delegated to the role of a lesser god. And now, it's time to play with the big boys. And by the big boys, I mean the big bird. Phoenix is shown as a large, colorful bird with flames emerging from its wings or body. He's usually red or orange with rainbow detailing. In Final Fantasy XIV, Phoenix appears a bit more demonic in comparison to other depictions of him, even through the fire feathers. He uses the fire element, and his signature attack is Phoenix Down, which revives party members. The item to do the same also shares the same name. The Phoenix is a legendary immortal bird that can be born again through the ashes of its predecessor. Some argue that the bird simply dies and has to fully decompose before it can be reborn again. It is also argued on the origin of the Phoenix mythology. Some say it came from ancient Egypt, while others believe it originated from Greece and Rome. But, like every kid born in the 90s, Egyptology seems to have a chokehold on the Phoenix's origins. The Bennu is a divine bird that is often depicted as a large, heron type of bird with luminous feathers. Bennu is said to have flown over the waters of Nu, landed on a rock, and cried a high, beautiful cry that marked the beginning of time and creation. Because of this, Bennu is considered the symbol of life and rebirth, as well as the sun. These symbols are the reason why the Bennu is considered the Ba, or the personality component of Ra and Osiris. The Bennu is thought of to help guide resurrected souls in the afterlife, further solidifying the symbol of rebirth. The Phoenix, in ancient and medieval literature, was often shown to be wearing a halo, or a nimbus with 7 rays, like the Greek god Helios. The color palette of the Phoenix depends. Herodotus claimed the Phoenix was red and yellow, while Ezekiel the tragedian said that it had red legs and striking yellow eyes. A majority of these scholars believe the Phoenix to be similar to an eagle, but Lactantius and Ezekiel the dramaticist claimed it was much larger. The Phoenix is thought to be reborn in an eternal cycle of between 500 to 1,000 years. This has led many to believe that the Phoenix is more symbolic than physical, marking the end of an era and the start of a new one. The Greek Phoenix would light itself aflame at the end of its life, and thus a new bird would rise from its predecessor's ashes. Whether you believe the Phoenix originated from Egypt or Greece, the phrase "Phoenix rising from the ashes" will never not be iconic. As we've seen and discussed many times on this channel, many myths and legends are similar in idea and execution. I absolutely love this about mythology. It shows how similar we all truly are in the way that we try to explain things we don't always understand.
I am the troublemaker after all.
As always, thank you so much for watching. It was really fun getting to learn about different cultures and religions that I didn't really know a whole lot about besides surface level. And so I hope I did a really good job at interpreting them into a very, very condensed script. I know that there's a lot more depth to a lot of the cultures and religions that I covered. So please note that this is not a definitive of every single piece, because there is a lot that goes into important figures and important myths, important legends, etc. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I mainly went over summons that were in most of the games that were really popular. But if you'd like to see me do some of the ones that maybe are one-off or in only a few of the games, please let me know that as well. I had a really fun time doing this, as I mentioned previously, and I hope you enjoyed too. I'll see you guys next time, and I'm sorry that the videos are so spread out. I've just been doing a lot of other things and it's just been kind of hard, but I do have a Titan video hopefully coming out soon, as I mentioned previously. But yeah, I've been rambling way too much. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time and stay safe. Bye.
Da, 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 da.